Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
Trying not to be mad as hell. That's what I'm doing.
So
I'm doing.
I'm looking through my chats, and some people were disappointed with what happened. Some people think Bernie really kicked ass. We're waiting on Ron Placone. So Kim, tell us. You watched that debate. You've been following this whole primary. You've also been following pretty avidly the coronavirus, as this was the big topic at the top of the debate, and who's going to handle this. And this is a legitimate issue, because it's like we're in the middle of a pandemic. Literally right after the debate, New York City announced no gatherings over 50 people. They're talking about limiting restaurants and all that stuff in New York City, which is tough. I mean, that's how everybody lives. You and I were talking a little bit about this earlier today. So what is your overall about this? What did you think happened?
I think that Biden gave us a lot of platitudes, and then I think he stole content from Bernie. I mean, I think it was like, Bernie Sanders came out and said, look, we've got to deal with the entire crisis here. It's not just about the virus itself and, okay, stay away from each other. And, and I think Biden's idea was, well, what I would do is something different than Trump, is I would at least come out and say, hey, maybe you should stay away from each other and take this seriously, versus what Trump has done, right? So Biden's response seems to be, I'm just going to be different than Trump. And then Bernie's standing there saying, yeah, but that's not enough. I mean, we have a real crisis. People need medical care. They're worried about how they're going to pay for it. They're worried then about child care. They're worried about their wages. They're worried about their rents, their mortgage. They're worried about all this stuff, and we've got to comprehensively take care of it. And I feel like after they discussed that for a while, Biden kind of came around and then said, well, we got to take care of all of those things. But we've got to first. And I'm like, but first what? I don't know what your but first is.
He wants to give him loans. It's the thing you and I discussed. They're going to give him loans. Biden proposed loans. Bernie was like, no loans. We just gave $1.5 trillion to the banks. Let's just give them that.
I mean, look, I am just so frustrated. My neighbors probably think I'm a lunatic. I was in here screaming at my television, saying a lot of bad names. I was calling people names, at the screen, because, even after the debate, then CNN gets on, and CNN just, all they talk, Biden. Well, Biden, Bernie was giving him an opportunity to bring Bernie and his supporters into his fold. I didn't get that at all. I didn't feel like Bernie went there, after the last Super Tuesday, the 2nd, or whatever they're calling it, after that election, and Bernie did not give a speech that night, and we were all very disappointed in the whole thing, not in him not giving a speech, but we were just disappointed in the results, that the South, just for whatever reason, went with Joe Biden. And the next day when Bernie Sanders came out and gave his speech, it did sound to me like he was going to kind of give up, but give Joe an opportunity to win his supporters over. He was saying, I'm going to ask Joe these questions, and we need to find out from Joe, how is he going to lead this country, because he's inevitably going to be the leader. That's what I got from the speech that Bernie gave. But you know what? I felt like he came up tonight. I think he showed up, and I think he showed up swinging. I feel like when I watched the debate, he was trying to win. And it wasn't just about, hey, Joe, how are you going to win over my supporters? I think he was saying, hey, Joe, we got some serious differences, because you don't really have any ideas. And I do. And you're far behind, and you've never caught up. So, but, then you turn on CNN and they're like, oh, well, Bernie gave Joe all these opportunities to bring in his people. And Joe, didn't he do such a great job? He didn't fumble his way through. So, wow, he's a real leader. I mean, those are their standards.
Oh, God.
The problem with Joe Biden is we've had no standards on Joe Biden at all. He's been a complete disappointment. And so any little achievement he makes, people are like, oh, look at that. Joe did so great. Joe's great.
It's what the thing is like. And the question I asked before you came on is, so I was watching this. I was obviously I know what we want as lefty progressives. We want Bernie to come out swinging even harder than he did tonight. I want him to say, hey, what happened? You were with you and Obama had 8 years. You didn't do any of that. He won't call out the DNC's cheating. But I also then was trying to put myself in the shoes of the Democratic primary voter that is undecided, which is actually a big portion of people. It seems kind of crazy to us, but we follow this all the time. So the people that are going to make their decision this week, maybe today, maybe tonight, maybe Tuesday when they go to their polling place. How do you think, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to get inside their heads, but how do you think they're going to, what is their takeaway? The person who hasn't been paying much attention to the primary, and now they're like, well, it's down to 2 because American politics, we treat it like sports. Well, I'll watch it when we get to the playoffs. Like, you know, when there's less teams, then I'll get in. And I think they're like, last summer there's 20 people, whatever. I'll tune in later. Now they're like, I should probably pay attention. Also, my kids and I are not going to school tomorrow. We're all on quarantine or whatever. We're all can't do anything. So I'd like to know what this massive TV audience was. How do you think they're going to interpret this?
I think they're still going to vote for Biden. I think that the average person, and I have many of them, I have many of these types in my life who don't pay attention to politics really at all. They do to a degree. They care. They really hate Donald Trump. But they just are exhausted, and it makes them feel, politics is a very negative subject for them. They just want to avoid it at all cost. And when I say Bernie Sanders, they say, I don't know. I just don't know if the rest of America will go with him. They do this bandwagoning thing. They just think, well, even though I like him, I just don't think enough people like him. And that is a reasonable way of thinking to some degree. Of course you have, if you of course, there are cases like that. But I think in the case of Bernie, I think there's so many more people thinking that than not. And that's causing this kind of bandwagoning effect where they say, well, I just don't know if the rest of America will go with them. And so I just would rather have Biden because I think people will vote for Biden. And I want to beat Donald Trump so bad. I just think people are so brainwashed into the crisis mentality that the Democrats have built. And it's so disgusting, and I am so sick of it. It's like, oh, Bush is a crisis. We have to get Bush out of office. And then, the economy is a crisis. We have to fix the economy. Forget you. We have to do all these other things. Like, we don't have time to make change. We have to crisis. So we've got George Bush. Sorry, are you getting an echo?
No, I'm not getting an echo.
I'm getting a little bit of echo.
While you're ironing that out, let's welcome into the studio Ron Placone, ladies and gentlemen. It is a United Stank reunion show. All of the microphones and headsets have been sanitized. We should let our audience know. Everything's comedies do. They have these disinfectant wipes, and they do it between each show. So, Ron, we were just talking about, what I was trying to put myself in the shoes, and I was asking Kim of like the undecided Democratic primary voter,
right?
And we know there's many of them.
Because that was the target tonight,
right? That was the target. All those people who were like, "What do we do?" And this is a thing that many of those people, and Kim was just talking about this, are like, well, I like Bernie, but Joe's getting the momentum. They just started paying attention, which is obviously we know the Democratic Party saw the writing on the wall that Bernie was like running away with this. And so they had to manufacture this Joe-mentum by 750 polls getting close.
Joe-mentum. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
With this, right. So they and Bernie wouldn't bring this up tonight, which is not a little. It's very disappointing that he wouldn't say 750 polls were closed in Texas. He won't bring up any of the voter suppression. He did bring up the fact that, he has the actual momentum, but he didn't call out the Joe-mentum for being the fake thing that it is. Right.
Which is something that, he definitely really needed to do.
So there's 899 people watching. Please smash the like button and share this stream out there. So that's the thing. Like, I thought there was a huge opportunity, and I don't know, maybe Bernie capitalized on it, because I'm trying to weigh this. Like, we want Bernie to like come in hard and swing hard like Trump did in the Republican primary 4 years ago, right? Trump just no nonsense said stuff, and he blew up that party, and we keep wanting Bernie to do that. He's not going to do that. And it's like, we talked about it on the Jimmy Dore show, that Chris Hedges article, that column where he said Bernie's not the guy for this movement. We need someone that's really willing to fight the establishment. But is And I thought there was an opportunity, and Bernie kind of made it in the beginning. There is an opportunity because we are now on lockdown. We are less than 2 weeks away from a domestic travel ban and from 100% quarantine, like nobody go outside. I think we're less than 2 weeks away from that. Because New York City just announced immediately following the debate, no gatherings over 50 people. Mm-hmm. They're limiting, going to restaurants and bars, and now they're having we've all, like Kim and I were talking about this earlier today on the phone about where the exponential, and is it, and we talked about this on the Jimmy Dore Show Friday based on that report, like we might be, and that report said we're 2 weeks away from the big exponential growth that happened in Italy.
Well, unless, of course, what we're doing works.
Okay.
I mean, if this is effective, I mean, right now, all the actions we're taking is we're trying to prevent to get from that point.
Right.
Now, we could already be there and not know it because of all the lack of testing that we have available.
Right.
So,
that's true.
I mean, there's so much up in the air right now. And yeah, I mean, we are in the middle of this crazy pandemic. As far as the debate goes, there were some moments I liked a lot. There were some moments I disliked a lot. I mean, there were a few moments where I was just like, that was good. There were a few moments where I was like, ugh. I mean, overall, I came off wanting a lot more.
What were the good moments?
So the good moments, to start with the positive, first thing that comes to mind, just because it's the freshest in my head, I thought his closing statement was excellent. Mm-hmm. I thought he gave an excellent closing statement, and he sounded like the person who needs to be president. Because he is the person who needs to be president. I thought his closing statement was very good. Mm-hmm. And then Joe Biden made his closing statement where he babbled about sign language. I thought that the moment about Social Security was really good. When he cornered Joe Biden on Social Security, he kept cornering him. The moderators tried to make him let it go. He wouldn't let it go. And then he finally was just like, all right, folks, just go on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and watch this. That was very effective because he's basically saying, hey, Joe Biden's lying here.
Yeah, and you'll see his lie. You'll see his lie in real time. You will see Joe Biden flat out lie if you go see this on YouTube.
Also, it probably got in Joe Biden's head for a few minutes after because he was probably wondering, what's YouTube? So I thought that was a good moment.
All right. So, Kim, what were your good moments that you saw? And we'll get into the ones you wanted more or thought were bad moments. What were the moments you thought Bernie really, really did well?
Well, I mean, he's certainly more, clear and more concise than Joe Biden. And Joe didn't have any real big gaffes, but Bernie standing next to Joe just seems so much younger and more vibrant, even though is Bernie like a 1 year older than Joe? Is that how it is? But, I don't know if there was really any standout moment. I mean, I feel like I've heard Bernie's message so much. His message is always so clear. It's always concise. To me, honestly, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a real negative Nancy, but more negative stuff stood out to me than positive stuff. And, I'm still just reeling over it. I'm just reeling over CNN's commentary directly after the debate, how absolutely biased they are. They are gaslighting America. This is why we can't have nice things, because they just sit there and they say, oh, Joe Biden, he's so great. Isn't he so great? He's so presidential. I mean, it's just, they didn't even want to call out the fact that Bernie, caught him on some lies. They don't even want to fact check Joe Biden.
No,
they're just wiping their hands clean.
They were protecting him.
The thing that really got me was right before we came on here. They were talking on CNN about basically ending the primary. I mean, they were saying, well, the virus is like affecting everybody. And so why wouldn't it affect the primaries? Like, can we really go forward with the primaries? I mean, people are going to be next to each other. And, that's not really social distancing. I mean, can we really go forward with this? I mean,
I was worried
They're trying
about
to take the little semblance of democracy that they've given us.
Which is,
they want to take that away.
It's the thing is like, I was worried about this when the virus first popped up. Is they're like, if it looks like Bernie might win, or it might be a brokered convention and there's going to be protesters and delegates are going to walk, they're going to say, oh, there's an outbreak in Milwaukee. But now they might, Is this becoming a serious pandemic? Yes, it is. But they are also going to use it in whatever way they can to help screw Bernie and to prop up Biden. That's the thing that's so bothering. And some people in the chat were like, oh, Graham, you guys were more complimentary of Bernie in past debates, and now lately you've been too hard on him. Well, I'll tell you why I'm being too hard on him now is because in past debates, there's six or seven people on stage, and he'd get a couple of good moments in, and then there's all these other. We just watch these other people fight with each other. Now he's one-on-one here. Mm-hmm. Like, he has to go in hard, and we're all keep kind of waiting. Like, Bernie, the moments where he cornered Joe and was like, "Look, go to YouTube. Joe, you're like, that was great. That was good. That's the Bernie we want. I wrote the damn bill. That's the guy we want." Right. There were some moments though when they said, how will you specifically with your Green New Deal, how will you do this? And Bernie just gave his overall talking points to his Green New Deal, which is good. Now, maybe we've all heard it so many times. I don't know. Biden said, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. So it was like, you're letting Biden sound like, oh, he's the VP. He used to be the VP. He's presidential. He knows, he knows how to get stuff done. And Bernie's just talking in these crazy outside concepts. And that's how I kind of took away from some of those moments, especially. And then, he's saying we can't let the fossil fuel companies. And I'm glad Bernie really set himself apart with fracking. I'm glad Bernie said,
that
no,
was a good moment.
And Biden said, no new fracking.
Yeah. Well, it was so funny, the moment where Joe Biden was like saying we need results now, and he was then promoting incrementalism.
Right.
We need instant results, so we got to do it. That would be like coaching a track team and being like, the way you get to the finish line fastest is if you crawl. Ready, set, go. Like, what are you talking about?
In sandals. Dude? Like, where's sandals and a sarong? And then we'll...
Don't run yet. Don't get crazy here.
Well, I don't know. What do you? I mean, they've pushed the Louisiana primary to June. We've got 4 states Tuesday.
I believe so.
Well, unless they cancel it, because that's what they're talking about now. They're going to take away democracy. They're going to say, you know what? Joe Biden wins, guys. Come on, let's just call it. That's what they're trying to get us to do.
They'd have to postpone it. They couldn't just end. I mean, they'll try. They'll try.
They could legally. They can just end it.
No, that's true.
It's not actually democracy.
No,
we're not even actually voting for the candidate. We're just doing kind of like a bellwether signaling of who we would like. But at the end of the day, it's a delegate system. They don't even have to, it's and they don't even have to listen to the delegates. It's a corporation running the country.
They're going to go back and
this
have
whole country's a corporation.
It is. They're going to go back and have a goddamn papal conclave and just release smoke. And somewhere in there, Joe Biden's, his health is going to be bad, and Hillary Clinton's going to pop up and go, I guess the people want me. And she's going to I'm telling you, man, I really like.
I actually just watched 2 popes recently. I thought it was incredibly boring. I don't know what you thought, Graham. I thought it was very boring.
Yeah, it was.
Did you hear Joe Biden saying that he was going to have a woman for sure? So then that made me think, is it going to be Hillary Clinton?
Oh.
It's either going to be Hillary or Klobuchar. And it's weird because Bernie did say it's like 5-6 months ago, he would have a woman of color.
You know what? I tweeted this out, and some people disagreed with me, and I agree with them in principle, but I thought just for optics' sake, he should have just said yes to that question. When they cornered him on that, he should have just said yes, because look, CNN was trying to get a soundbite gotcha moment on him, and he should have just said yes, because first of all, I think his VP pick is going to be a young woman of color, as it should be. There's so many great candidates out there for that. So yeah, just say yes. Just don't give them that soundbitey moment that they're looking for. And by the way, at the post-debate analysis at CNN, that's the first thing Anderson Cooper mentioned. He mentioned, Biden said he was for sure going to pick a woman VP. Bernie, not so much. They got the soundbite they wanted. I don't think Bernie, he should have just said yes, and it's going to be a qualified progressive woman. Moving on.
Yes.
That's all.
And I've been saying this for months.
And I've been saying, exactly.
That's what he should have said.
He has been saying it a bunch, and they're like, well, he didn't give in to identity. And I'm like, look, Bernie's not trying to win me. He's not trying to win Graham. He's not trying to win Kim. He's trying to win the undecided voter. And what do undecided voters respond to? They respond to strength and conviction. That's
the thing. That's what I'm really was worried about. again, if he didn't fight as hard as we wanted him to, I'm okay to let that go because we want to say the Democratic Party. We want to, we want to put Donna Brazile in jail and all. That's what we want to do. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, we would like that. But the undecided Democratic primary voter, they needed to hear, and they kind of got it at times from Bernie, but they really needed to hear, you're home, you're scared, your kids aren't going to school tomorrow because of coronavirus, you've lost work because of coronavirus, you don't know if you've got health care because of coronavirus. I'm your guy. I'm the guy. The guy in the White House doesn't know what he's doing. Biden's not the guy. I'm your guy. That's how tonight needed to go. It needed, and it had moments of that. But it really
Graham for president.
Damn right,
Graham
baby.
for president.
I will run. I know what I was like screaming at the TV. Like I was standing up in my apartment. Like this is what I would say on the debate stage right now. This is how I would respond because I know what the American people want to hear, and I wouldn't tell them what they want to hear. I'd tell them what I would do. I would say, first of all, I wouldn't get rid of the pandemic. Whatever pandemic committee or whatever it's called that Trump got rid of in 2018, like like he got rid of those people. The CDC wouldn't be a public appointee. It would be an actual expert on this. We would have this in place. If I'm president, here's how we'll deal with this pandemic, and here's how we'll be prepared for the next one. And it'll tie into my Green New Deal and my Medicare for All. That's what I would do. Everything I would do, I would tie in my whole platform, not this single issue nonsense. I would tie it all in like that. Oh, and by the way, all the billionaire pedophiles are going to go to jail. That would be my other thing that I would throw in there. So I just don't.
They're going to be put in a jail cell with the coronavirus.
With the coronavirus.
Capture the virus.
And we're going to see how strong you are.
It's going to be in that cell. That's how we're going to contain it.
Yeah, and you won't have a paper T-shirt to get an easy out. You know what I mean? You won't be able to hang yourself with a paper T-shirt like Epstein did. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.